And you think this is the best Char Siu in Los Angeles?
The best Char Siu I've eaten anywhere.
We slow roast it for a couple hours at very, very low temperature.
I don't use this word often, but this is sublime. This is Tso'l Food, an American journey through the Chinese kitchen. I'm Gerald Tan, and right now I'm tasting noodles with char siu, barbecued pork. Really, I could just eat pieces and pieces of this.
Yeah.
Some would contend that LA's Chinatown, much like the golden age of cinema, has passed its heyday. The pace of life is slower, business sluggish, in stark contrast to many glitzier parts of Los Angeles County. Even the food scene here is much altered, and no one says this with greater authority than David R. Chan, a retired lawyer accountant turned unexpected celebrity diner. How many Chinese restaurants have you personally eaten in your lifetime?
Well, the exact number as of this moment is 7,771. It was probably in the 1980s, and I decided that Chinese restaurants, good Chinese restaurants, were opening up at such a fast rate that if I didn't start keeping track of where I've eaten, I might inadvertently eat at the same restaurant twice.
Oh, what a sin!
Well, it's a sin in that my goal was to try to catch all these new restaurants as I open. So we're at Hop Wu. They've been open here in LA Chinatown for 30 years. They serve traditional Cantonese food, and that's the type of food that a lot of people are very familiar with.
Such as the ubiquitous ultimate comfort food, noodle soup.
We're looking to see that the noodles are the right consistency, that the broth is flavorful enough, and that the meat is good.
And here it is, right on cue. Thank you.
It's interesting because in the last decade or so, you've seen a sea change in Chinese food in the United States. Because Chinese first came to the United States for the gold rush in the mid-1850s. And from that point in time until mid-1950s, Cantonese food was the only kind of Chinese food you could get in the United States. And then when the immigration laws changed in Immigration Act of 1965, became effective later in the 1960s, you had a new wave of immigration. But the real change is the last 10 years, because that's when you had the massive influx of Chinese students mainland students to U.S. universities.
At this point, do you see yourself as an unofficial historian of sort? Or maybe even an official historian, a culinary historian for LA?
That was never my intent when I started my eating, or even it was not my intent when I started my list, but in fact, it has turned out that way.
Because I've saved room for even more noodles still, David guides me to Far East Plaza. The 1970s era food complex is in the midst of a renaissance, spearheaded by a crop of young chefs.
Pearl River Deli is a good example of one of the most cutting-edge trends in Chinese American food today. That trend is for second-generation Chinese American chefs, most of whom have been trained in Western cooking, to go back to their roots, to Chinese food, but to bring the things they learned in non-Chinese cooking to Chinese food.
Oh, here we go.
All right, here you guys go.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Immediately, the difference. Look at that shine on
I know.
the pork.
It's incredible looking. I gotta tell you, it's incredible sweet.
The lacquered sheen of the barbecued pork, the noodles still al dente, a quality described as Q in Cantonese, the seemingly humble plate by chef owner Johnny Lee punches above its weight. The minute you open the oven, you just want to stick your face in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bubbling and sizzling. Look at that char. I guess that's why they call it Char Siu. No, actually, not really.
No, they got Char Siu because cha in Chinese means fork.
Right.
And they used to roast it on like what would look like a big pitchfork.
Ah.
So it means fork roasted.
There we go. Love it. Okay, so tell me what you've done to this piece of pork.
So we use a nice marbled cut of the pork collar.
Okay.
It's kind of by the pork shoulder. First, we marinate it the night before, and our marinade, we try to use a more traditional marinade, no red food coloring.
Okay, so it marinates overnight and then you slow roast it.
Yes, slow roast at very low temperature, and then when we need it, we'll roast it again by a higher temperature to get the caramelization on the outside.
That's sensational. Can you remember some of your early memories of Char Siu? Because I feel like this is Char Siu, it's sort of like the Asian bacon.
In Cantonese culture, like Char Siu, like rice boxes or like rice plates,
Yes.
are very common. So one of my early memories is we were taking a boat from my home area, which is in the Toisan area, into Hong Kong, and on the boat we had Char Siu rice, just in styrofoam boxes.
Chef Johnny serves an updated version of nostalgic dishes, but it's not simply the what, but also the where that makes him a standout. You chose to open in Chinatown, Los Angeles, at a time when a lot of businesses are moving out. What drove that decision?
Being in Chinatown, for me, my family has a long history here. For me, I feel like it's such a shame that we all moved out and then we neglect and didn't reinvest more money into this place that gave us our start in the first place. My hope is that we can kind of bring more attention to Chinatown again and show people that it's a place that's worth going, worth supporting and eating, and worth investing in.